With the centre differential built and ready to go, we're ready for bag B in our Tekno EB410.2 build, and we're sticking with differentials in this bag, both front and rear. There are two differentials to build in this bag, both the front and the rear. As it's the exact same process as the centre differentials from the previous video, we won't cover this bag in too much depth. The only difference between bags is the ring gear that seals the differential cup rather than a spur gear. So, cracking on, let's grease the recess within the cup and the outdrive groove before inserting into the cup, on with the greased O-ring, the shim, and the outdrive pin with some needle nose pliers to help. This is the front differential, so we add a couple of drops of 15,000 CST oil. Before dropping in the first gear, making sure it's seated on the pin by giving the outdrive a little turn. A few more drops of oil, just enough to partially cover the bottom gear, before building up the differential cross pin, dropping it in place, and then checking the gears are all meshed nicely, and topping up with more oil, 1mm below the top of the cup, before adding the final top gear. That done, we now grease the recess in the differential ring gear and the groove on the top outdrive before inserting through the ring gear and holding in place with a greased O-ring, a shim, and finally the outdrive pin. With the centre gasket greased on both sides, place on top, taking care to line up the holes, and carefully line up the ring gear as you lower into position, before inserting and tightening down all 4 screws, corner to corner, being careful not to over tighten. And that's the front differential done, turning nice and freely and ready to place alongside the spur gear for later use. We have one more differential to build here, which will be the rear. The build process is exactly the same, so no need to cover it yet again, although this time ensure the differential is filled using the 10,000 CST diff oil. That's literally the only difference between the front and rear differentials. And that's bag B complete, and all 3 differentials ready and built. I'd recommend marking each differential as there's nothing else to distinguish between the front from the rear, and you really do not want to get these mixed up considering they carry different weight oil. Super high quality so far, and the build manual is nice and straightforward too. So let's keep going, and I'll see you in the next video along with bag C, the steering bulkhead assembly.